D&D's new book contains AI. So, what did D&D know, when did they know it, and how did they respond?
You want answers!
I want the truth!
Dungeons & Dragons' soon-to-be-released sourcebook, Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants, contains artwork that was quote-unquote enhanced by AI. Although, Wizards of the Coast has responded and said that they are updating their artist guidelines to prevent future AI art from being submitted. Here is what we know. Earlier this week, an artist named Ilya Shikpin stated that he had used AI tools to enhance several pieces commissioned by Wizards of the Coast for Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. Now, Shikpin has worked with Wizards of the Coast for past D&D pieces. He was actually the artist of the Basilisk in the Monster Manual, and he's credited in at least 3 D&D rulebooks. And he was including being credited as a concept illustrator for The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. In recent years, after he started working for Dungeons & Dragons, Shikpin's work had turned towards digital and AI art, with Shikpin even launching an NFT company in October 2021. Now, we will note that most of these pieces don't appear to be fully AI generated. They instead use earlier AI tools that were available about 2 years ago to touch up or clean up pieces of the artwork, to add elements to it. Now, it's kind of obvious that these pieces are AI driven, but we've all had the benefit of seeing a lot of AI art. Now, given the time frame for a D&D book's development cycle, and we'll talk about the timeline a little bit later, that AI art wasn't as prevalent as it was today. This art piece was likely sent in 18 months ago, and 18 months ago, no one was really talking about AI art. However, like I said, the artwork in question still features some of the hallmarks of AI art, with strange fingers and weird poses, identical joints. One piece has, I believe, 6 toes on one of the giants. Now, Shipkin admitted that he had used AI tools to quote-unquote enhance concept illustrations of work, including supposedly concept illustrations that weren't his original work, although we're still trying to figure out the sourcing on who took some of concept illustrations by April Prime, another D&D artist, and ran them through some sort of AI tool to add layers and details to them. We're still working to determine who that is. I believe that is Shipkin, but I haven't definitively confirmed that yet. However, Wizards of the Coast noted that they were unaware that Shikpin had used AI until this week. In fact, a representative for Dungeons & Dragons told us that Wizards was unaware that AI was used to create the piece in question, and that the artwork was commissioned over 2 years ago and was turned in over 18 months ago. Additionally, this representative said that in response to the situation, Dungeons & Dragons would be updating its artist guidelines to clarify that AI-generated or enhanced art is not to be used. Now, this is something that other tabletop RPG companies have already done. Paizo has done this, for example, and Wizards of the Coast has done this too with Magic the Gathering. So it appears that for whatever reason, the artist guidelines for Dungeons & Dragons were not updated, but we will also note that a lot of these companies have only recently updated their AI or their stance on AI. Paizo only did that in March. I believe Magic the Gathering did it around the same time. And this piece was turned in 18 months ago by someone who was an early adopter of these AI tools.
Producer Pete jumping in here to play devil's advocate for just a minute. As a current graphic designer and former creative director for large art departments, I do have to point out that while AI art was not nearly as prevalent as it is now 18 months ago, the review process for art and projects like these is an ongoing thing. That means this wasn't just turned in 18 months ago and no one ever looked at it again. Multiple times over the last 18 months, many people had to review the formatting of the art, look at it as they swapped out images of the art, and basically just stare at this artwork until the book's design was actually finalized a few months ago. And somehow through all that, they miss what is some frankly blatant red flags of AI design they should have caught. The weird, nonsensical weapons, the terrible anatomy of hands and feet, the inability to even draw feet in many of these. These are things that an art department should have recognized over the long, ongoing process of finalizing artwork for a book release. So while the art may have been commissioned and turned in a year and a half ago, people were staring at these bizarre, blatantly AI illustrations almost daily until very, very recently. And somehow it just slipped through the cracks. And clearly, based on the comments I'll be showing over this voiceover, there was some sort of major issue that allowed them to make it to the final print. And now, back to Christian.
Now, D&D Beyond released a official statement as well, and I'm going to read it for you now. Today, we became aware that an artist used AI to create artwork for the upcoming book, Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. We have worked with this artist since 2014, and he's put years of work into books we all love. While we weren't aware of the artist's choice to use AI in the creation process for these commissioned pieces, we have discussed with him, and he will not use AI for Wizards' work moving forward. We are revising our process and updating our artist guidelines to make clear that artists must refrain from using AI art generation as part of their art creation process for developing D&D art. So, and I'm not defending the artist, nor am I defending AI art. I'm just saying that when we discuss this, we should acknowledge the timeline that was present. We all know what AI looks like today, but 18 months ago, think to yourself, was I really that familiar with AI art? And I'm not defending the artist, nor am I defending AI art. I'm just saying that when we discuss this, we should acknowledge the timeline that was present. We all know what AI looks like today, but 18 months ago, think to yourself, was I really that familiar with AI art? Now, that doesn't excuse the quality process, of course, and I'm sure that D&D is looking at all the other art pieces that they've commissioned to make sure that they don't use AI art. And, I think there are a lot of lessons to be learned about this. So what do you think about this AI controversy? Let us know in the comment section, and don't forget to hit these like and subscribe buttons.